Hi, this is Dave from Priority Bicycles. Thank you for your support of Priority and your purchase of a Start 24. Today, I'm going to show you how to build your child's new Start 24. Before we get started, it's important to note that we always recommend that you either have your bicycle professionally assembled, or if you choose home assembly, to make sure that a professional bicycle mechanic safety checks your assembly before your little one rides it. Our phone number and email address are on screen. If you have any questions now during assembly or during the course of ownership, we'd encourage you to reach out to us. We respond very quickly, especially over text message and email. Now let's get started. For today's assembly, you're going to need either a pair of scissors or a pair of diagonal cutters. Let's cut off the protective packaging and remove the bike from the box. Inside the bike box, you'll find your belt guard, your accessories box, and the bicycle with seat, seat post, and front wheel. Let's now remove all protective packaging, remove everything from the accessories box, and lay it all out so that you can see what you have. As you're unpacking, pay particular attention to the front fork. The bike shifts with the brakes facing rear and this yellow label facing front. Turn this forward 180 degrees so that the front brake cable has a nice smooth arch to the front brake lever and that the brakes are facing front with the yellow label in back. Then remove all the protective packaging, including the fork brace here. With the brake turned forward, go ahead and remove everything from your accessories box. Inside your accessories box, you're going to find your owner's manual. Now's a good time to stop and read through its contents in its entirety and go over it with your little one. A 6mm wrench, 5mm wrench, and 4mm wrench, a 15mm wrench, a front reflector, rear reflector, pedal set labeled R for right and L for left. Also here, you'll see I have my belt guard laid out but not unpacked, and my seat and seat post. I'm going to start by installing my handlebars. To do this, you'll use the 4mm Allen, or the smallest Allen wrench. Remove all 4 bolts on the stem faceplate. Then take the handlebars and put them inside the stem faceplate so that all 3 cables are running smoothly in front of the bike, just like my example here. With your handlebars properly in the stem, you'll notice that all 3 cables go smoothly in front of the bike, with the front brake cable being the outermost cable, followed by the rear brake cable and the gear shift. Now, let's take the faceplate and affix the handlebars. Tighten these in a star-like pattern, going diagonal as opposed to clockwise. With the handlebars properly affixed, we will now want to install the front wheel. We're going to start by pinching the brake calipers together with one hand and removing the brake noodle from the drive side caliper to open up the brakes. Grab the front wheel and look for the direction arrow. We want the direction arrow pointing forward. With your fingers, loosen both axle nuts considerably. You want enough space that you can easily put the fork over the wheel axle. Now, holding the washers against the wheel axle, pick up the front of the bike and slide in the fork. Now, on each side, take the outer washer and make sure the hook goes into its corresponding hole on the fork. And then on each side, finger tighten. Use the closed end of your 15mm wrench and tighten both sides. When tight, the wrench should leave an indentation in your palm. Now you can go ahead and put the kickstand down so the bike can sit on its own and latch the front brake. With one hand, hold the calipers together and rehook the brakes, sliding the dust cover over the noodle. Now let's insert the seat and seat post. First, flip open the quick release lever. Then, position the seat to your desired height. Be careful to make sure the seat is at least inserted to the minimum insertion mark on the seat post. Then tighten the quick release cam. You may need to tighten the nut side of the quick release before closing the cam. Look to make sure that when the cam gets centered here or parallel with the nut, that there's resistance in the cam. You'll need enough strength that you'll need to hold one hand on the bike or seat while the other hand closes the cam. Then the seat shouldn't move. Now take a look at your pedals. You'll see an R for right and an L for left sticker on each one. Remove the packaging and install the right on the drive side and the left on the non-drive side. It's important to note that the left pedal is reverse threaded. With the right pedal, install it standard threading, so turn clockwise. You can start with your hand, and then as it gets tight, finish by using the wrench. Remember, the left pedal is reverse threaded. This means you're going to turn counterclockwise, or towards the front of the bike. And then as it gets tight, use the wrench to finish. Use one hand to brace the bike, and put some force into this to get it as tight as you can. The wrench should leave an indentation in your palm. Now, let's go ahead and unpackage and lay out everything with our belt guard. We're also going to need a household Phillips screwdriver to complete this part of the assembly. Inside, you'll find the belt guard, a large clamp, which will be used towards the sprocket, 2 screws, a washer, a nut, and a small clamp. When you unpackage your belt guard, you should see a large clamp and a small clamp. On one side of the small clamp, you should see a nut. If you do not see that nut, you'll probably see 2 loose nuts in the packaging. Assuming there's only 1 loose nut, you can place that there. You'll see 2 screws. One is slightly longer than the other. Put the slightly longer screw with the big clamp and the shorter screw with the small clamp, and take the washer and put it with the small clamp. Now, let's start with this first larger clamp. With the protruding nub on your left-hand side, put the screw through first hole. Then grab the small nut and put it inside the fitting end. Take this and install it on the bike, slightly above the belt. Holding it with one hand, tighten so that it's loosely on the bike and is still adjustable. Now take your belt guard, slide it through the protruding nub and back. Then lower the belt guard so that it's only a few millimeters off the sprocket ring. Now, let's grab the small clamp. Making sure that one nut is in its fitting end, take the washer and put it on the other screw. Slide the bracket onto the right seat stay, and sandwiching the belt guard in between the 2 clamps, use the shorter screw and tighten. You can now make any fine adjustments you need to the positioning of the belt guard. You want to make sure it sits slightly above the belt, but does not rub on any part of the drivetrain. And then fully tighten. Now let's move on to the reflectors. Grab your front reflector and remove it from the packaging. You'll notice a shim inside. Take the shim with the edges facing outward and put it inside the bracket. Then go ahead and remove the screw from the bracket. Open the handlebar clamp and put this over the handlebar, up towards the stem. Insert the screw and tighten. Once we've got that done, let's do the same with the rear reflector. When you open the packaging for the rear reflector, you'll notice the reflector, a shim, a clamp, and a long screw. Again, put the shim with the edges facing out inside the bracket. Put the screw through the smooth end, not the ridged end, of the reflector. Move over to the rear seat stay of the bike. Position the clamp with the ridged end out on the rear seat stay. Then insert the reflector and a long screw and tighten. When completed, both reflectors should be perpendicular to the ground. Now, let's check the stem and make sure it's centered with the front wheel. You may need to loosen and then tighten the 2 bolts using your 5mm Allen wrench. Ensure the stem bolts are tight. The Start 24 comes with an adjustable stem. If you'd like to use the adjustable stem, use the provided 5mm Allen wrench. You can loosen on the drive side of the bike and then adjust the stem angle. Please do not lower it below 0 degrees or raise it above 50 degrees. Make sure you get it good and tight. Again, the wrench should leave an indentation in the palm of your hand. Now let's go through and check every nut and bolt on the bicycle. Go through everything that we've touched today and those that we haven't. Make sure that everything is correctly tightened. You can find the torque specifications in Appendix D of your owner's manual. Should you need any help with your brakes, make sure and check out the other videos on our website. Now, we recommend you have a professional bicycle mechanic safety check the bicycle before your little one starts riding. Our contact information is on screen. If you have any questions about the bike now or in the future, please contact us. Our fastest response is always via email and text message. Know that we're here to help and that our goal is that you and your little one love their new Start 24.